Show screen. Can they hear us? Hi there. Thank you for joining us for this webinar, How Your Firm Can Benefit from Complete e-Conveyancing, the latest in a series of webinars that the LEAP Client Success team are running. As you can see on your screen, this webinar is being jointly presented with InfoTrack. My name is Brooke Limmer, and I'm a Client Success Manager here in Victoria. I'm also joined by Stephanie Watkins, a Client Relationship Manager from InfoTrack.
Hi guys.
Hi Stephanie. In today's webinar, we are going to take you through how, by using LEAP and InfoTrack together with PEXA, your firm can benefit from e-conveyancing.
Okay, just a bit of housekeeping, guys, before we get started. To the right-hand side, you can see there is a selection option to join via computer audio or phone call. Just remember that you'll be muted. We can't have all 300 attendees talking at once. So you'll be able to hear me, but I won't be able to hear you. If you did want to ask any questions or let us know anything in advance, we can get back to your questions at the end of the webinar, and you can pop them down here in the questions bar. If you can hear me nice and clearly, can you please all begin to raise your hand on the grey toolbar, which should be green from your end. So I can see Trish, thank you for raising your hand. Matthew, Melissa, Maria's, perfect.
Excellent.
You can hear us nice and clearly.
Okay, what to expect in today's webinar. These are the topics that we will be covering. So we're first going to look at the e-conveyancing timeline, what has happened and what will be happening. We're going to look at how to set up a LEAP matter when you get instructions for a conveyancing matter and best practice with regards to that. We're going to touch on verification of identity with Identify. Then we're going to look at Section 32 and e-signing. I will also compile a bylaws contract from within LEAP. And then when preparing for settlement, we're going to look at settlement adjustment sheets within LEAP. And then lastly, PEXA integration with LEAP and InfoTrack. Okay, before we jump into how best to set up a matter for conveyancing in LEAP, we thought it would be best to have a look at the digital timeline for Victorian conveyancing to see what has happened and what will happen in the future. So in 2012-2013, the Electronic Conveyancing Adoption of National Law Act was passed in both the New South Wales and Victorian Parliaments. Also in 2013, ARNEC released the Model Participation Rules version 1. The next year, PEXA was introduced. And in January 2017, the first fully electronic conveyance in Victoria was completed by First Class Legal. And coming up next year in July 2019, Victorian Government plans to have transition to complete electronic conveyancing. They've been doing slowly transactions that have to be done completely online up until that date, which I'm sure you guys are used to by now. Okay, we're just going to look at the e-conveyancing process. This will be familiar to all of you, I think. First of all, you obtain instructions from your client and you open a matter. The next thing you want to do is verify the identification of your client so you know who you're dealing with. Next, you want to prepare the Section 32 and the contract of sale. Next, you want all those documents signed. Then you prepare for settlement, and then you do settlement. Okay, now we're going to go into a demonstration of paperless conveyancing. So the first thing we're going to look at is preparing a LEAP matter. So I'm just going to jump into LEAP. Just hold on a moment. I'll just change screens. Okay, now you should all be able to see LEAP on your screen and the matter list, which you're all familiar with. I'm going to set up a matter using a recurring matter template. Recurring matters allow you to set up templates for each of your matter types where you will have similar information associated with it. It allows you to set out your table types, subfolders, and precedents in a way that you can use this template for every matter opened for that particular matter type. They're useful to set up if you have a property developer as a client and you are engaged to handle the conveyancing for the development. Another example is where you have matters that progress in a similar fashion, such as a sale or purchase of a property, so it's perfect for conveyancing. The benefits to using it is it prevents time being wasted by staff entering the same information over and over again. All right, so you can find out how to set up a recurring matter template in LEAP Community. There's step-by-step instructions, but for today's purposes, I'm going to use a template that has already been set up. So when you're opening a new matter, you use the new matter button on your matter list, but you choose new matter from recurring. And as you can see, these are the templates that we've got set up in our LEAP file. And I'm going to use a Victoria conveyancing sale. So you would all be familiar with this screen. I'm just going to choose who will be working on the matter with me. I'm going to add a referrer. This particular matter came from a real estate agent that we do a lot of work with. And reports are available within LEAP with regards to referrers. I'm going to put in my fee estimate, my disbursement estimate. I'm going to have an estimate warning come up. And it will take you to this screen with all your tabs, your details and correspondence, calendar and tasks. You can see on the left-hand side the table types. I've amended those in the template to be what I want it to be for a sale file within Victoria. You can see on the right-hand side, I've set up subfolders. Depending on how you work, you might use subfolders in your matter. But using a template means they are automatically there and you don't have to go creating them every time. And you can see I've also got some documents, some of the initial documents that are used in every sale matter, such as file cover sheet, your cost disclosure form, and initial letter. You can see on the right, it says pending under the created column. That's because those documents haven't actually been created yet. Once you open the document, work on it and save it, there will be a creation date in that column. It will remain pending until you actually work on the document. It does work as a good little checklist to say, have I sent that letter to the client? It still says pending, therefore I haven't worked on it and I definitely haven't sent it. So we're just going to add some information here. I'm going to add a vendor. And our client is John. And you can see coming up on the right-hand side suggestions of cards that I already in LEAP. And if I narrow that down even more, we're dealing with John Ortolin in this particular matter, and you can see he's come up on the right-hand side. If I just double-click, all his matter details are going to come up. You want to check that that's still current, that his phone number hasn't changed since the last time you dealt with him. You want to put in as much information as you can in these tabs up the top. One of the good features of LEAP is this Documents tab. So this is where you can save documents that relate particular to that individual. Instead of saving them to different matters, you can actually save it to the card, so it follows the person no matter what matter you have with them. So useful for power of attorney and ID documents, things such as that. We don't have a purchaser at the moment. John's just come to us with instructions that he wants to sell his property. Property table type, this is a good little feature. New property from vendor's address. So if John is selling the house that he lives in, I'm just going to open this up again. So 1000 Heatherton Road, Noble Park. If you highlight the property table type, right click, new property from vendor's address, it's going to pre-populate with that information from his card. So that's just another quick way to enter the property details. Doesn't require you to enter the details again. So you would go through and add all these details, say agent. Sorry, I just clicked on the wrong one because we know we're working with a particular real estate agent, Brenda. And you would just continue to go through and add all that information. I can't stress enough, and I always say this to our clients, the more information that you put into LEAP, the smoother the guides and precedents, the integration with InfoTrack and PEXA is going to work. So I love it when I go to see clients and all that information on the left-hand side is completely filled out. I have to admit, if I saw it as I've got it there, that would probably give me a little heart attack. But for today's purposes, for this, I'm just going to leave it like that. But that is how you create a matter for a conveyancing file within LEAP to start the process. All right.
Okay, great. Thanks, Brooke. Okay, so now we are going to be looking at the verification of identity and VOIing your client through LEAP and InfoTrack. Okay, perfect. So why are conveyancers conducting VOI through the Idify and LEAP mobile applications? Well, firstly, the integration with LEAP is and always has been seamless. So if you are ordering your VOI or conducting your VOI through the LEAP application first, it launches into Idify, and any information on that matter card through your touchscreen device will feed back into the Idify app. So it's less data entry when you are VOIing your client, obviously exercising that integration through LEAP as well. Second is standardization. So one process across the board. I think that pretty much says it, says it for itself. Saving capabilities. The summary report of the VOI through Idify and LEAP sits back into your documents tab, which I guess we'll get Brooke to go into in a second to show us that one live. And expiry reminders as well. So if I was to go and VOI John in a 1.5 years' time, and then later on he wanted to be VOI'd again, it would let me know if his VOI had expired or if it was coming up to expiring. So I know exactly where I stand with John in the next sale or purchase, and whether or not he needs to be VOI'd. It is client friendly. Clients can come in and see you have a chat and also get VOI'd at the same time. So it really is kind of a one-stop shop when you are seeing your clients. You do have the option to do a remote VOI as well. So that kind of works a bit like FaceTime, which is handy. It is time and cost effective. So to touch on that, in terms of costs, it is only $9.90 to VOI your clients through InfoTrack and LEAP. And we do keep that record of the verification of identity for 9 years in the cloud. So it's a great option for you guys in terms of storage as well. It is intuitive, and like I mentioned with the storage on the cloud, it is quite secure. Okay, so again, the cost of Idify is $9.90 or $10.90, depending on how you will be VOIing your client. The cost sits in the cost recoveries tab in LEAP, and so does the summary report of the VOI of the client.
And so that's great integration between LEAP and InfoTrack. The fact that you use the LEAP app together with the Idify app, and the cost recovery automatically goes, back into your LEAP matter.
Yep. So I think, Brooke, you were going to show us.
did just touch on this when I was creating a matter, this Documents tab.
Okay.
So I'm just going to share the screen again. So when you are in this matter, your VOI report that is generated, you can actually save it under your Documents tab within Leap. So just save it locally on your computer once you receive it via email, and then import it into Leap.
Otherwise, it generally
sits. It does just sit in there as well.
Okay, beautiful.
Okay, moving on.
Yep, moving on. Great, so now we will get stuck into preparing and signing your vendor statement through InfoTrack and Leap. This is really exciting for, I guess, InfoTrack and Leap at this stage. We are going into the more digital world, particularly with PEXA's mandates and everything just around the corner. So I think it's pretty relevant that we jump into that today. Something I wanted to talk about and just touch on briefly is that when our clients do use the vendor statement through Leap and InfoTrack, it means that they're not having to rely on other parties and phone calls to try and organise when someone's going to be printing a document and signing it and sending it back. It just eliminates some of the printing costs, ink, and time wasted waiting for other parties to pick up and drop off the documents. So first and foremost, we are in our matter. I'll jump into the searching and services into InfoTrack. Just going to load and push me through where I'll begin ordering the documents. I can see up there now that I do have my sale workflow, so that's easy for me to follow as well, and any other documents I've had using this matter as well. You can see the VOI request should I've done that originally. And I'll go into property certificates. You can see the matter reference is already hard-coded in the volume and folio. All of you Leap clients would be well and truly aware of the benefits of having disbursements and costs pushed back into your Leap cost recovery, so it's easy to invoice back to your clients and no costs are absorbed by you. So I've got my details there. I'll press next. We do have reorder detection notifications. Yes, I'm sure I want to go ahead and reorder on this particular matter, but if not, it is allowing me to go back and reorder from a different matter. So from here I can begin to start ordering my searches and anything that I might need for this particular matter. I do have to order the Section 32 on contract to sale. That just means that I can begin the, I guess, compiling the contract using our Section 32 on contract. I would go ahead and order these certificates, but I won't do that today just in case either Brendan Smart or John Ahern come back and slap me on the wrist for ordering too many certificates and racking up a huge bill. Don't want to get in trouble by the CEOs, that's for sure. I can go ahead and press confirm. That is the order that I want to do today. And what it's going to do, the system's going to push me into InfoTrack with the document tree on the left-hand side and the images of the documents on the right. So that's nice and easy. I'll show you some of the functionalities that you can do in this particular section as well, like shuffle the certificates so you don't have to print them and scan them back to yourself, which sometimes can look a bit ugly and unprofessional and also be another cost and time waster. So like I was saying before, we do have our document tree on the left. Anything amber just means we're just waiting on those certificates to come back. And I can press on the Section 32 vendor statement. Signing the contract to sale is much the same, but today we will just be touching on the 32. Nice and easy. So from here, this is our Section 32 statement. Pretty standard. I can press edit and I can go ahead and edit as I like. If John accidentally had a middle name, I can type that in. I might not need to, but I'm just showing you that there is that option there. I can go down and start selecting the different options for the questions that I need to answer. Be mindful that the document does collapse any of the other answers that I don't choose. Okay, so I'll scroll to the bottom because I do want to show you today the attachments list down the bottom. So this is all editable as well, but I want the contract of sale in there. I don't have to put that there. So that is editable. If I wanted to add a power of attorney for whatever reason, I'm just making up a document if I'm honest. I can type that in there. And I can scroll up to the top and I can press save. So that's going to save all of the changes that I've made or selected. And then we'll be able to add any other documents. So from here, we do have our paperclip option. That just means that it's asking me, do I want to add any documents from the LEAP matter? So I might want to do that. Let's see if there's a good document we can chuck in there.
What about the initial letter to vendor?
Perfect. We'll use that one as an example today. Thank you, Brooke. So I can import that from LEAP, or I can go into my local documents, and that's just like your desktop, so super easy. So I can import that document. It'll sit there on the left in my document tree, and I can add the due diligence. Now I'll be shuffling these just to show you how easy it is to shuffle the documents online. So I'm going to pick up on the left-hand side that grey bar and push it all the way down the bottom. And we'll just leave that initial letter to vendor for example purposes today. Once I press save, I can save that document and then save it to my LEAP document as well. Other than that, everything's ready to go, I think. So on the top right-hand corner, I'll press the Sign It button. And we're going to be sending the vendor statement to the vendor, Mr. John Ortolin, from your firm. That would normally be, that's obviously how it is in our LEAP matter today. And I'm going to send the document to Mr. John Ortolin at my test email. I do have the option to add a cover letter to the client if I needed to, and I can also view the document if I require. So once I press request signatures, it just means that the system is going to send Mr. John Ortolin an email all the way over in Bali while he's sipping a beautiful pina colada. He's enjoying his time over there. And so long as he has a touchscreen device of some kind, that could be an iPad, a Samsung, or an iPhone, anything touchscreen. Everybody knows somebody with one, so that's not really a barrier at this stage. And almost anywhere in the world has Wi-Fi, so even if he's up in Echuca at his holiday house, he can still sign the document. And feedback that we do have from clients is that they do tend to go on holidays when they need to sign the documents. So, okie doke. So John is actually now on the beach with his wife Philomena, and he says, geez, when am I going to get that email? And she says, look, I'll get the iPad now, we'll look at the email. So she pulls out the iPad and she says, John, we have an email from the solicitor. And John says, you ripper. So he clicks on his email and he can see that he does have a request to sign his vendor statement. So he can review the document. So he opens it up. By this stage, he's probably just brushing some sand off his feet or his hands because he's about to sign electronically and he wants it to be perfect. So he reads the electronic record and signature disclosure, which he does have the option to do that, and he continues and presses start. It's super easy for John. He just follows the prompts, just like that. He selects draw and John can now sign. If he's not happy with that, he can clear it and he can do it again. That looks more like his signature, I would say. He adopts and signs. There you have it. He's signed the vendor statement. Obviously, John would have gone through the document to begin with. And there is a tracking number down here where InfoTrack and DocuSign track the device, the IP address, the date and the time that John would have signed this document, making it super secure and nice and safe and easy for your firm on your end. So once that document has been signed and John presses finish, he's desperate to finish that pina colada at this point, and he'll be notified when the document's been signed so he can get back to swimming, snorkeling and all the fun stuff really. So while that's loading, beautiful, congratulations John. You can go and have a few beverages. Okay, great. So from the solicitor's end, you can see now that your firm, solicitors, have received an email where you can view the document using this link, or you can just go down here and see the completed and attached PDF of the signed vendor statement. So from your end, this would make things a lot easier. You can directly download this document and send it to your real estate agents via email. So they can, I guess, start working with the purchasers and start negotiating to get John and Philomena the best price possible for their property. So very, very exciting for them.
Thanks, Stephanie. The next thing that we are going to show you is how to compile by lawyer's contract from within LEAP. I'm just going to bring up a screen, the LEAP screen again. Just give me 2 seconds. Let's close that. Okay, all right, so what should be in front of your screen is the LEAP screen again. So John has signed the Section 32. There's a purchaser, so we're in our LEAP matter. I'm going to add a purchaser in here. We have Sarah Pinkleton, I think, is going to buy this property. We've dealt with her before. Double click. Make sure that all that information is correct. Add her solicitor. We've dealt with the solicitor before as well. Gerard. Okay, so now that we've got a purchaser, you may want to compile a contract using the bylaws, guides and precedents that you may have subscribed to within LEAP. Bylaws, guides and precedents are a companion product, and they're the ones that provide the legal guides and precedents. They are updated in accordance with changes and amendments as they unfold. Bylaws employ an experienced team of practicing lawyers, barristers and conveyancers, ensuring ready access to the latest in legislation, practice and procedures. So if you have subscribed to bylaws, you can find the bylaws precedents within the guides and precedents button within your matter. So we are in the sale guides and precedents, and you can see it is all neatly organised into the different stages of the matter. I will say here that there has been a split between the paper transactions and electronic transactions, depending on what type of settlement you are doing. But for the contract, we are actually going to go into the contract folder. And you can see there's a contract of sale of land. I'm going to select that, part 1 of 2. And it's going to create this document, pre-populating it with the information from my LEAP matter. So you can see the property address has come up, or will come up when the document generates. It's got the vendor and purchaser information. It's got the land information that's being sold. And if we scroll right down to the bottom of the document, right down the bottom where the particulars are, it has all the other information that I've inputted into LEAP. So the agent's details, the vendor and purchaser, etc., the volume and folio number. So once you've made amendments to that contract and selected all the terms and conditions within the contract, press save and close. And that's going to be saved back into your LEAP matter, as you can see there. That was part 1 of 2. There is also part 2 of 2 of the bylaws contract, and that's just the general terms and conditions, the standard terms and conditions that you would use. It's in PDF format, so I'm just going to save that to the matter, just so I can compile a combined PDF, combining both of those parts of the contract, as well as certificates and plans that I have obtained from InfoTrack. So I'm going to utilize the feature of LEAP, which is the combined PDF. And to do that, I'm going to select the documents I want to combine. I'm going to use the control button on the keyboard and click on the documents I want to combine. I'm going to do these 4. And I use the right-click functionality in LEAP and select Create Combined PDF. Oh, that's probably because we've just ordered it. let's just do these three. Oh, yeah, it's still waiting. That's why I'm going to use a complete one. Sorry. There we go. Sorry, I clicked on a search that hadn't been returned yet. All right, so you can see that the 3 individual documents are listed below. Creating a combined PDF doesn't affect the original documents. They will stay as is. It creates a new document within the matter. You can change the order of these documents. So obviously you want part 1 to become before part 2. So you can highlight the document and press this arrow to move it up. You can also drag to change the order as well. But for today, I'm going to put that one at the end, part 1, part 2. I'm going to rename it something else, final contract for signing, and press create PDF. The benefits of using this feature of Leap, I think, is it's better quality than printing each of these documents out, going to the scanner, scanning the document in, and sometimes the quality of, plans and things can be a little bit not as good quality. This doesn't require you to print anything and scan. So that is one of the benefits of using this feature. So you can see there, it's created a separate document, final contract for signing. And if I open that up, it's got our documents all combined. It's got bookmarks on the side that show the beginning of each document. Yeah, and I think that's quite a useful feature if you wanted to still go down the route of getting your contracts physically signed. Okay, moving on to the next. Just bringing up the previous one. I think we may have skipped. Excellent. We're going to prepare for settlement. And we're going to have a look at the settlement adjustment sheets. So for that purposes, I'm just going to jump into purchase file. Okay, so Mrs. Carol Hooper we're acting for Mrs. Hooper, and she's purchasing a property of Mr. Philip Mackenzie. As you can see here, and this is what I personally love to see, is all this information has been filled out in the table types. So statement of adjustments is a document that you create before settlement, just figuring out what apportionment the purchaser and the vendor are going to pay with regards to rates, etc. I click on the guides and precedents button. I'm going to go into my paper transaction file. There's a settlement folder there, and that's where my statement of adjustments lives. Before I show you Word, I will just, show you certain things within Leap that need to be there in order for this statement of adjustments to work. So I'm just going to jump back into Leap. Okay, as I said, it's great to see that all this information is there. There's particular information that if you want your statement of adjustments to work properly, need to be in there. This includes conveyancing details. So you want the purchase price, any deposit paid, and the balance that is required. You also want your water authority and council to also be populated. I purposely left council blank just to show you a feature of the statement of adjustments, but you do want to add those as well. Okay, and also what you definitely need in your calendar and tasks is the settlement date. And if the settlement date and adjustment date are the same, you don't need to put the adjustment date in, but for completion, I've put both of those dates in. It's going to settle on the 13th of June. So those things, as much as I love to see all of this completely full, they're the bare minimum that you need in order for the statement of adjustments to work. So going back to Word and the statement of adjustments here, a pop-up window will appear. This has all your information that it's pulled from LEAP, purchase price, and that's why it's important to add the purchase price into your LEAP matter. Mortgages to be discharged, I'm going to say there's 1. Caveats to be withdrawn, 1. And you can see there the settlement and adjustment date are showing as you've entered them into LEAP, 13th of June. You've got these menus up the top. I'm going to click onto apportionable items. And this is pre-populated because we put South East Water in as the water authority. It is pre-populated with their name. With rates, charges and levies, as you will remember, we kept council blank in the LEAP matter. So you can see that there's no actual name connected to that payable to. If I want to edit that, I can actually put in the council here, type it in, or I can go back to my LEAP matter and enter it through that way. So I'm going to say $1,500 for rates. It's an annual fee. It has been paid, and I want to create a settlement check. I click through OK. I would go through and edit each of these depending on the certificates that you've received and whether certain fees have been paid or not. I'm going to leave that one as paid as well. This one here, parks and gardens, is not applicable to this matter. So if I don't want it to appear in my statement of adjustments, I can delete it, or else it will appear as a line in the statement of adjustments. There's this delete button here. I'm just going to say yes, and it has disappeared from the list. If I double click on that, I can edit it. I'm just going to go through and put some figures in. This one's quarterly. You have different options there depending, again, on the certificates that you receive. Press OK. And the last one, sewerage. Again, if the vendor has paid installments, you can put in the amount of the installments into this field here, and it will calculate what the vendor has paid and therefore what should be split between the vendor and the purchaser. If there were apportionable items that weren't listed there in the default, you are able to add further ones just by typing in the particulars of the certificate that you receive. But for today's purposes, I think that will do. Usage is to do with your water usage charge and your sewage disposal charge. So date last read, I'm going to say May, and the per day charge is going to be 85 cents. And then this last one. Whoops, that needs to be the 1st of May. 50 cents. Okay. Rental, if the property that you were selling is a rental property and the vendor has received rent for the month that the settlement is in, you'd be able to apportion the rent, what the vendor should have and what the purchaser should have for that month. And then checks. These checks are made, are generated from what you put in the apportionable items. There's 3 Southeast Water charges there, so that's why there's only the 1 Southeast Water check there. I'm going to come back to the checks in a second, but if you press OK, this document will now generate, and you can see there's, once this comes back up, it's a very complicated document that's got a lot of coding in it, so it does take a few seconds just to generate with those figures and do all the calculations. So you've got a column for the vendor and you've got a column for the purchaser, and you can see, depending on the information that I've entered, how it's been apportioned. So the purchaser has, allows 17 days based on the date of settlement. You've got your registration fees there based on what I entered, one mortgage and one caveat. And purchase price, all of that information was entered from LEAP, as we pointed out, and then the balance due to vendor. These settlement checks, so we've got City of Melbourne and Southeast Water, as it was described in the adjustments, and you can see the balance of the settlement checks is actually blank. You would usually get that from the vendor's solicitor. You get instructions as to how that is to be paid. You can generate this before knowing that information. You can go back into the rate adjustment pop-up screen at any time. There is a tab up the top, and if you click on that, it brings this back up, this screen. So once you get instructions, you can go into the checks. It's usual that the vendor's solicitors want to be paid on settlement, so you would create a check for them. And if the vendor has a discharging mortgagee and they require their money, you would put the balance check payee in here. Click OK. This document's going to update. As you can see, the checks are now in there. This document can be updated at any time, going into the rate adjustment tab and clicking on adjustments to bring that window up. If there are changes to the settlement date, you can update the settlement date within calendars and tasks to the new settlement date, reopen your statement of adjustments, click update, and then just make sure that you click OK on your adjustments as well, just for that document to repopulate. And it will calculate everything again with that new settlement date. And so that's your settlement statements done. And so, sorry, statement of adjustments done. And now you're ready for settlement.
Okay, great. Thanks, Brooke. Okay, guys. Now we'll be jumping into PEXA through Leap and InfoTrack. So give me 2 seconds while we jump into it. All right. So we're going to our matter as per normal. And you would see that earlier when we signed our section 32 electronically, it has come back as a line item in our LEAP documents tab here. So I can click on the InfoTrack Sign It, which is our section 32, and it's going to take me where I last left our section 32 and signing that electronically. So from there, we'll be able to show you a number of ways to launch into the PEXA platform also. So if I go back to my section 32, we can see that the document has been signed. I can click on section 32. Okay, and press home. And we can see down here on the right-hand side that we do have a PEXA tab. We do have 3 options. You can create your workspace through InfoTrack. The dashboard, you can manage your workspaces through the dashboard, and you can also respond to invitations. So I am conscious of time. We do want to finish right on the dot at 2 o'clock and answer all of our questions. So I have launched into Create a Workspace. It knows which matter reference I'm entering the system from, but I can also from here search anybody else that I want to invite into the party. So I can search the subscribers, and whoa, dummy St. George, that looks definitely like the other party that I need today. I can see that I've got the proprietor on title, mortgagee on title, and I can go ahead and select incoming mortgagee, for example. And you can see that it has pushed through the information from my LEAP matter. Bear in mind that this is a demonstration, so I might just change that to Vic if I can to make it more appropriate. And I can go ahead and select the time of settlement that I wish to have. 3 o'clock would be fine. And from here I can edit the details of the parties, or I can add or delete any of them as well. So from here, I can press create workspace, processes all of that information, and it actually pushes me through into the PEXA platform. Nice and easy. So information from your LEAP Matter card will be pushed through from LEAP into InfoTrack into PEXA. So at the moment, you might be logging on to PEXA, logging in using your username and password, entering all of the information again that you would have entered in with LEAP. So this eliminates this data entry, double data entry, and it's much more seamless. It's integrated and easier to use.
And I think I've said probably about 4 or 5 times during this webinar, the more information that you put into LEAP, the better the integration it is with things like InfoTrack and PEXA, and not the need to have to re-enter data.
So if I just go back a few spots here as well and go back into our PEXA little tab here, I just wanted to show you the dashboard as well. So I can enter any of the dashboards from here that I might have in my PEXA platform already. And I can also respond to any invitations. Okay, so it's recognizing that I've entered from this particular matter, and I can press that button and either accept or decline the invitation and go into a workspace from there, or send notifications off to the other parties. I think, Brooke, you wanted to show.
Yes. So just a little tip with your PEXA workspace is once it is created, I'm just going to go into this details and correspondence. You can see that it sits in the correspondence pane. So every time you double click on that, it will take you into the PEXA workspace directly from LEAP. What is great is if you use the right click functionality within LEAP and the pin on top. So that's going to pin that link or document, if you like, right up to the top of the matter. So you can see by the orange triangle, it's pinned on top. Every time you open that matter, that is going to be sitting up the top, so you don't have to scroll and search for it. It's just nice and easy for you to find.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay, so I think we may have covered all the topics that we were going to cover in this webinar. I just wanted to let you know we do have some end of financial years offers with LEAP if you aren't with us at the moment. If you sign up to LEAP by the 22nd of June 2018, you will receive a free data migration from your current practice management software. There's also additional offers on installation and training for all webinar attendees. All you have to do is email sales@leap.com.au or call 1300 596 365 to find out more about LEAP or to claim your offer from attending this webinar. And just letting you know about our upcoming webinars, we've got next week, Jeff Peck, how to protect your law firm from data breaches, which is a bit of a hot topic at the moment. A detailed insight into the potential data security threats facing the modern small firm. That's next Wednesday at 1 o'clock and repeating at 3 p.m. So now we're just going to quickly look at some of the questions that have come through. Might just take a moment.
We might just leave that on that screen as well while we're answering these questions. Okay, beautiful. All right, so I think we've got some juicy ones here, which is exciting. Lots are coming through. We'll start from the top. Okay. Will we be getting a copy of these slides? Yes, we do want to send out copies of the slides to the clients.
You will also get a copy of the recording of the webinar. So just give us a couple of days to do that and you will receive an email.
Okay, beautiful. The other one is from Karen. When I use LEAP mobile app, then click links to Identify, the client's data doesn't flow through to Identify and I have to manually enter the client's details. Karen, I'm glad you asked that question. So unless you have done a search with InfoTrack and LEAP originally, somehow the apps, they can't connect and they're not linking. So that's probably why it doesn't flow through the data. But if you've done a search for the client underneath the LEAP Matter prior to opening LEAP Cloud app and the Identify application to do the VOI, then no, sometimes the data doesn't flow through. So if you just did a search that would be required for that matter beforehand, then that would sort that problem out. So thanks for asking, because that's actually a common one, and we had that issue this morning because we forgot about that little trick.
Yes, it is a little trick.
Okay.
I think there's one here about the statement of adjustments. The discharge of mortgage fee is $114.90 by default, and that fee obviously changes if you're using doing an electronic settlement. You can go into Leap. I'm just going to get Leap up on the screen so I can answer this properly. Hold on one moment. Sorry, I'm just clicking through. I'm just trying to find a purchase file.
It's always the way when
when
you're trying to look for a particular matter.
Okay, all right. So I have found a purchase matter here. In settlement details, it has this little PEXA ID field. If you enter your PEXA ID into that field and then update your statement of adjustments, it will update those fees. So that is another little, tip if you want the electronic settlement fees to flow through to your statement of adjustments. That is in your settlement details table type, and you just enter your PEXA ID and update your statement adjustments that way.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Okay, great. We might just pause that before we go.
We have just a couple more minutes. We're just going to have a look at a few more questions.
Okay, this is a good one. How does the combined contract get electronically signed?
The reason why I was showing the combined contract, if you mean the buy lawyers combined PDF contract that I demonstrated, that is useful if you have old-fashioned clients that aren't up with the technology at the moment and won't electronically sign or can't. That's a good way of combining a contract and sending it to your client either by post or by email and having them physically sign it that way.
Perfect. Okay. Oh, this is a nice one. The demonstration of link to PEXA is a great time saver. Are you working on something similar in relation to the docs now required by SRO, which have made the SRO documents on Leap redundant and so much more time consuming?
That is a recent issue with the SRO forms. I believe the content team is kind of looking into that. Probably not the best person to ask about that, but we will be in touch after this webinar.
Okay, cool. Alrighty.
And maybe we have time for 2 more?
Yep. Okay, perfect. There is a lot coming in, guys, so thank you all for the questions. We'll get back to you when we can. This one is from one of my favourite clients personally, Grace. When we used iDefine, not always the cost recoveries are entered. What can we do to fix this?
I would check that you're using the latest, updates to both apps.
Yep.
Just because, as with all apps on mobile phones, changes are always, fixes are always being made. I tend to find that as soon as I update the app, the Leap app or any app for that matter, all those little things tend to go away.
Okay. This one's from Mary. How do you sign the contract electronically? Okay, it's much the same way as the Section 32. You send a link to the real estate agents who, at the moment, we're building an online portal where they can actually access their own InfoTrack platform. And so the Section 32 would have been sent to them. and they have the option to start negotiating it and build their own versions of the contracts for the purchasers, and then later on the vendors to sign. Mary, if this is something that you'd be interested in, I would love to talk to you one-on-one. Please call or email me at those details. Sorry, this is Steph speaking. We would love to get in contact. It's a great feature.
And I think lucky last, Helen has just asked a question about when I opened the sale file, she noticed that I already had all the initial letters and other letters in the folders pending. How did I do that? I used a recurring matter template. We might send, there's a good link in the LEAP community, which I hope all of you are familiar with. Our LEAP community is like our online manual. It can be accessed through LEAP, the blue question mark, which hopefully you're all familiar with in the top right hand corner. If you click on that, it will take you to the LEAP community webpage. And if you just search recurring matters, it has a really good search function, the LEAP community. All these articles will come up telling you how you can set up the template, how you can add precedents to the template, how to amend recurring matter templates, and then how to create a new matter using a recurring template, which is what I showed you today.
Okay, beautiful.
Excellent. Well, I think with a couple of minutes to spare, we might leave it there for today. Thank you so much for joining us and learning all about e-conveyancing. Thank you to Stephanie for joining me today from InfoTrack.
Thank you, Brooke, for hosting me. I've absolutely loved it. It's the first time to, I guess, present with LEAP, and I've really enjoyed it. And I'd like to just say thank you for having me today. It's been wonderful.
You are very welcome.
Yes.
Excellent.
Feel free to call me or email me on those details.
Yeah, our contact details are just on the screen right now, but hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.